Hi, I'm Ella Drake, and in the beginning of the year, when we started to think about our projects, I knew that I wanted my topic to be around sports and mental health. I started to think about what I struggle with and thought about how I stayed on top of all my schoolwork while also playing a fall sport. I kind of changed my idea of mental health and went with the schoolwork idea. Many of my friends and student athletes had opt out to rely on, which was basically just a study hall, and they were able to get work done so they didn't have to worry about it after school. But I didn't have this option because of health, and when you're in health, you're not able to opt out of it, so you had to. And that just happened to be during my field hockey season in the fall. So I wanted to make an alternative option in case there were people that were struggling with the same thing or were in the same boat as me. So as I thought more about it, it wasn't just for students and sports. It could be used for anyone who was struggling to find time for schoolwork after school because of stuff like family life and at home, or anything that was getting in the way of really staying on top of all your schoolwork. So I started an experiment and prototype type thing where during lunch anyone could show up and anyone was able to come into Mr. Madden's classroom and work on whatever they needed time for. But I found that it was mostly my friends who were coming because I told them about it, and it was less people knew about it, and this really made me less confident, which was a struggle I faced because wasn't really sure how to tell people about it, and I didn't know how to get it out there. So since it was only my friends coming, it only ran once, so this made me really less confident to continue it. This also made me less motivated to have more people come and show up because nobody was showing up, and as I said before, I wasn't sure how to get it out there. So through this, I learned that effective marketing and advertising is very difficult, and I didn't really realize that until it actually started and I was in the process of doing it. So I noticed that some things that tied into the way I worked on this project and overall in the class was my grade and age and how this class compares to my other classes. So for example, what I mean by this is, since I'm only a freshman and high school is a big adjustment from middle school, because in middle school you were just told what to do, and in high school it's much more independent. It was sometimes hard for me to ask for help, but also try and figure out the questions I needed answered, because sometimes I was just clueless on where to go, and I didn't really have the questions to ask to direct me in the right direction. Also, since this class is mostly focused on one big goal, your project at the end, and it's the whole class is you working towards that, it sometimes was hard to work on it every day since we started working on it in the fall and exhibition night was in March. So this led to a lot of procrastination and lack of motivation during the year and while I was working on my project. But on the positive side, I learned how to better communicate with my peers and ask them how they feel about my project, since I used a lot of my friends and peers to help me get started with my project through surveys and stuff, to ask them questions if they think my idea of starting this club is a good idea and if they would use it. I also learned how to better communicate and more confidently with teachers and adults, because like I said before, in middle school there wasn't any classes like this where it was all on you to figure out what you needed to do. It was more just completing an assignment and trying to get a good grade. So some lessons that I learned from this class was that when things don't really work out the way you planned, there's always a way to like get back on track and redirect yourself and your project into something that you're proud of and more successful. And even though this class like isn't your typical class that I thought I would be taking, where you're just trying to get a passing grade and complete all your assignments, it really taught me that when you're passionate about something, you can take that passion and like go with it, and then you can create something that you thought you wouldn't be doing in school. And some things that I will take with me in the future is working on time management and prioritizing certain things to keep me motivated in order to be successful.